A painting like this has had so many different things happen to it and so many different treatments, and the kinds of things on top of it that have built up over the surface are very different from one another. The challenge in this cleaning has to do with the different kinds of properties of the different layers and how to best understand how we can kind of unpick them from one another in a controlled way.
Understanding exactly what the paint is made up of and the condition of the paint and how that may have changed over time is really helpful, and also knowing as much information as possible about the materials on the surface of the paint, any varnish layers or any dirt layers that might be there, is extremely helpful for the conservators when they're thinking about cleaning a picture.
Cleaning is very far advanced now, although there's a long way to go, but we've already taken off discolored varnish from the whole of the work, and I've removed some of this oxalating glue layer from almost all of the gilding and now starting to go across on the paint itself. The sample that the scientific department did in the area of St. Paul's Road is particularly interesting. It's starting to appear kind of reddish and purple. And then as you will have seen in the cross-section, you can see very clearly a build-up in pigments with blue and red pigments and discolored layers on top, which confirm the suspicion that that is the color of the drapery.
When we take a sample, particularly in order to look at all of the layers in the painting, the paint and the surface layers, we try to take a single microscopic piece that preserves all of those layers intact. And the way that we examine these samples is we embed them into a block of resin like this. So the resin is relatively small, but the sample you won't even be able to see. It's a tiny speck embedded in the middle of this. This block of resin can then be polished, and that produces for us a cross-section which we can look at under the microscope, allowing us to see all of the different layers in the sample.
This is the optical microscope, and you can see here is our sample set in the block of resin, and that sample was taken from the purple drapery of St. Paul here. We tend to take our samples from the edge of a crack or a damage, so this sample was taken from the edge of this existing damage here. Less than a pinprick of paint was taken from the edge of the hole. This is one of the first of the cross-sections that we took. There'd already been a very light surface cleaning that Larry had undertaken to remove a couple of quite modern varnish layers, but we were still left with this thick brown crust which was very disfiguring to the painting, and is formed of 3 layers. Larry did some further cleaning tests to try and remove the top 2 layers and just reduce or thin this lower layer.
After reduction of all the varnishes, the stuff that still was there has a very profound effect on your reading of the painting. You can see the difference between this drapery here and the discolored part there, or here and here. Even there where it's on the, this bluish green is emerging, and just in this one part of it and not yet in the others. And of course that's the most dramatic change at all. And just look at the difference between the 2 hands. I think that is the real reason for going as, the next step. Other people can be much more convincing about the importance of Lorenzetti as a cultural figure and a painter, but I can say as a work of art this is very skillful, beautiful color, the animation of the figures communicating to one another across the architectural elements, all those things are really quite remarkable and quite a precious survivor from the early 14th century, and I think as such, a very compelling work of art.